Do not be afraid, I am with you. I have called you each by name. Come and follow me, I will bring you home. I love you and you are mine. Da 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 da, la da da da, da 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 da, la da da. Do not be afraid, I am with you. I have called you each by name. Come and follow me, I will bring you home. I love you and you are mine. Da 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 da, da 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 da. The Song of Love has 42 verses as found in the book of Matthew, and we're singing those verses, those stanzas, singing along with the song that's being sung here, there, and everywhere. And that song is about your life. It uses the framework of the generations of the people who went from Abraham to Jesus' earthly father, Joseph. But it's not really about their lives so much as it is about your life and mine. It's a song of love. Singing the 42 verses of love that's about your life and my life and everyone's life. It follows the sequence as found in the first chapter of the book of Matthew in the Christian Bible. The generations of people are called in there, the genealogy, but the real meaning in Greek is the creative, formulative generations, the creative, formulative, generative, spiritual experiences. That's what a gynesius is. And they go from Abraham through Isaac and on down the generations. That's the schema or the outside. It tells us where to look up the story of these men in the Old Testament. They're men except for 4 women. We'll get to that another day. And Mary. And each of those 4 women in the genealogy is an outlaw. We'll get to that another day. And so is Mary, because she was an unwedded mother. And that was a criminal offense in those days, a capital offense. So these 42 generations that go are matched with 42 stories in the book of Matthew. One by one by one they're matched. There's no skipping and no going around. And the names that are listed in the genealogy according to Matthew are edited. In spots there's 3 and another spot 1 generation that are just skipped, that are there in the Old Testament, but they're not there in the genealogy, and they're not there in the story of Jesus that's found in Matthew. I say the story of Jesus because that's what we all teach it is and basically believe that it is. But in fact, it's not the story of Jesus so much as it is your story, as I said a minute ago. And by putting these 2 stories together, Abraham and the dream of Joseph, and Isaac and the story of the Magi and so on, putting them together, we see something show up that's not there if you look at just a sort of a flat prose reading of the New Testament. I'll just show you there. That's kind of a schema of it. I'll put it in better format sometime soon when I learn the skills. Well, the one for today, the generation for today, is Obed. And this is the whole mention, everything that's talked about Obed in the Old Testament is in this 2 or 3 verses here at the very end of the book of Ruth. These are the descendants of Perez, it says. Perez fathered Hezron. Hezron fathered Ram. Ram fathered Abinadab. Aminadab fathered Nahshon. Nahshon fathered Solomon. Solomon fathered Boaz. Boaz fathered Obed. Obed fathered Jesse. And Jesse fathered David. That's the whole thing. That's everything that we can know about Obed in the Old Testament. But there's another clue, and that's Obed's name. And any time in this Caduceus or genealogy of 42 names, any time that there's not any storyline about him in the Old Testament, there's a clue about what the song is saying that's found in the meaning of the man's name, or in some cases, the woman's name. So, the story then in Matthew that goes with Obed is one line, and it's this one. He, Jesus, went around the whole of Galilee, teaching in the synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and curing all kinds of disease and illness among the people. Period. That's the whole thing. So, Obed and a very short summary of Jesus' ministry at this point, really summary of his whole ministry, everything that he did, summarized in that one verse. Matthew 4:23. Well, what does Obed mean? The dictionary meaning of Obed is servant. And you can say, well, as Obed the servant was a servant, Jesus did all these things dutifully for the people. Going everywhere, preaching, curing, healing. But who would name their son servant? Not in our times and not in the ancient times either. You wouldn't call your son servant. You wouldn't want him to be the servant of everybody. So a broader definition of Obed is fulfilling, or to fulfill, or to do the right thing, or to do the right thing. What's in his own heart to do. Fulfill the prophecy, fulfill God's will, to fulfill your list of honeydews, to fulfill, I mean, think about it. If you have an art, a profession, you sing wonderfully, or you plant, garden wonderfully, or you're just great with cheering people up. Or you see somebody who's fallen down on the street and can't seem to get up. You would naturally sing or garden or cheer people up or go tend to the person who had fallen down in the street. You would fulfill what is needful, what is spiritually needful. Let's say that you do something for a living and you really, really like doing it. And somebody comes along, a rich man whose hobby is doing strange things, and offers you whatever salary you're making for the next 10 years of your life. And you are free now to do whatever you want. would you do? Would you become a rich bum? Would you retire? Would you, spiritual bum, of course. Would you retire and take it easy by the swimming pool or something? Well, the song is saying that the song will create in us the urge and the ability and the opportunity to fulfill our deepest longing. You can look at the story of Jesus, the Son, and this is not the way it's written, but a person could look at it this way, that God so loved the world that he knew it was in a mess, and he knew it needed fixing, but he didn't want to do it. He sent his Son down to do it instead. You could say it that way, but that's not the way it was. Jesus so loved the world that he went to us, came to us, and fixed us. Jesus so loved us that he came to fulfill the mission of love, the mission of love that transforms us from the inside, love that has been us all along, but it wasn't fulfilled yet. Fulfillment is about your marriage and your children, or the love of your life, that you would fulfill with that person what is right and good and satisfying, what fulfills your heart as you live it out. We are taught in the culture in which we live, we were trained in high school and college to do a certain job and be very good at it and so on. And that serves the needs of the corporations. But it doesn't serve your need to be fulfilled in your life. And the song says, I'm with you always, I am you always, and you will be fulfilled. You will fulfill yourself in your life. Obed, the servant, Obed, the guy who does everything that's necessary in the world, but especially to his own true self. And Jesus went around all through the hinterlands, all through the boondocks, tending to people, proclaiming the kingdom, healing disease and illness. What is the kingdom? Well, lots of people interpret that as the building of the church, the material church, the body of believers, the number of people who believe, and also the buildings where they would gather, and the salary of the pastor or the priest, and all of the... But what is the kingdom really? The kingdom is forgiveness. Not just that you would know your sins are forgiven, but you would become forgiveness, that you would be forgiving everybody all the time, that there would never be any need for you to forgive anybody. It would be forgiven as it was being done. We would understand that everybody is doing what they think is right, proper, and justified. And that you and I are doing what we think is right, proper, and justified. And when you're really knowing that, then we live in grace. We are grace. There's nothing but grace. When we know that everybody's, and when somebody is, hurting somebody else, committing a crime, stealing, it's really hard to know and to know that they're doing what's right, proper, and justified. And you would be justified in preventing them from hurting somebody, breaking up a mugging, or being a hero on the street. That would be what is right, proper, and justified for you in that situation, and not just to go ahead and let them, steal a car or hurt a child, because, Jesus loves everybody. And no, to forgive is something you fulfill, and in fulfilling it, you change the world around you and within you. Obed is one of the 42 spiritual generative experiences that we go through in life. We learn fulfilling, we learn forgiving. Those 42, well, someday soon I'll kind of put a list to at least a bunch of them. Do not be afraid, I am with you. I have called you each by name. Come and follow me, I will bring you home. I love you and you are mine. Will you let me be your servant? Let me be as life to you. Pray that I may have the grace to let you be my servant too. I will hold the life light for you as we journey on the road. We are here to help each other go the mile and bear the load. Fulfilling is also letting other people be fulfilled in the dance that we share, in the walk, the pilgrimage that we share. There's a story of on a residential street somewhere in America. There was this elderly couple, and next door to them lived a young family with a little girl, 6 or 7. And the lady of the elderly couple died and left the man all alone. And he was on his porch one day, and the little girl went next door and was with the old man for a little while. And when she came home, the mother said, what did you do with Mr. So-and-so? And the little girl says, nothing. Well, what did you say to him? Nothing. Well, what did you do then? I just helped him cry. See, the 42 verses of the Song of Love goes against pretty much everything that our culture teaches us we're supposed to do. It goes against pretty much everything the church teaches us we're supposed to do. It's not rebellion, it's fulfilling a higher way of life, a higher spiritual existence. It's fulfilling who we always were and didn't really know it and in fact we're discouraged from trying to find out. It's realizing our oneness, no separation from God, and our oneness with each other.